Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are or whenever you're watching this episode. Welcome to today's episode of Expert Interview Show. We've been bringing this show, bringing in guests on this show to accelerate your growth, both personal and business. Before we enter into this episode, we have a kind request. Please do subscribe, follow, and comment if our content resonates with you. And also share it with other entrepreneurs so we can reach more people just like you. In this noisy landscape, we need to set ourselves differently to showcase our potential. For that, we need personalized presence. If we want to influence and make a difference with the work, that we must be perceived. Perceived is the key word, as confident, credible, and approachable. How can we do this? I hear you, by strategically crafting our first impressions and personal image. These two will pave a way to strong positioning and also building your reputation. Today, we are going to learn how to craft our first impression and the personal image to build the reputation and position ourselves as stronger in this marketing environment. Today's expert is none other than Zayna Rose. A little bit about her. Zayna Rose is an image a strategist and a consultant who helps professionals to present themselves confidently and strategically, may it be online or in person. Zaina is a sought after image expert and has been featured in the national televisions and also in the newspapers. She's been invited quite often to comment on hot news topics of the day and also international and domestic image related stories. Zaina is also a certified image professional and has held numerous leadership positions in the Global Board of Association of Image Consultants International. That was my fault when I was practicing. It was the same. But now let's bring in Zaina to explain what she's going to teach us today. Hey, Zaina, thank you very much for coming
Hi, how
on
are
this.
you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, good to be here with you.
Oh, what? Please introduce yourself. What we've not heard in your bio. How
Oh
and
gosh,
who
well
does
there's
that? Like,
there's
it's
really
not
so
just
much to
physical.
tell, but I'll say this before we get into it. I've been doing this work for 20 years. So
Oh,
what I the reason that I mention that is because I think it's helpful to know where when you're listening to someone where their experience and where their opinions come from, right? So in that time I've worked with many different types of people from many countries of many backgrounds, both personal and professional. So I'll highlight that just to say my opinions and experience do come from a vast array of situations as well as people. And this type of work is something that not everyone has prioritized, but that's very natural because it's not a traditional part of schooling or even of business training. It's becoming a more widely known and sought after on the top of people's minds because it's actually part of marketing, and it's
yes,
something that our personal and professional image, it's the way that it's what we put out, and it's also largely how people perceive us, which you highlighted in your intro. And so it's important for us to keep this up to date because it so affects first impressions. We all know they happen very quickly. It's not necessarily a fair, just thing. Some people's, it depends how, what their past experience has been. It depends how fast their minds work and how closely they pay attention. But in a world where people are scrolling and looking for fast solutions, all of us want to ideally be known and noticed for who we truly are and the real value that we bring. So what I was
yes,
really starting to say is that it's something, this idea of You could call it personal branding. You could call it your public image management. You could call it your personal image development, whatever you choose to call it. It's something that we should keep up to date the way we keep up to date our websites and CVs and, important information on our social profile,
Yeah.
because our image is ideally also a reflection of us, as I said before, that's authentic and aligned. And we are ever changing people. And
Yes.
so adjustments are needed. And it's, once in a while, you might need to do deeper work and analysis. But in between, it could be just keeping an eye on things and upkeep and small tweaks and adjustments.
Yeah, I wanted to when I spoke to you initially, when I was looking for experts, and I spoke to you initially, it was really harder for me to grasp what you were saying. However, at the same time, when you said, "Oh, I need to bring her on the show because we don't pay attention to this," I can personally say this because in this episode, there are quite a few experts who come on, and when I speak to them, they are excellent. They've got that uniqueness to them. They've got the potential that they can help you, no matter what. But when they present themselves, or before and after the episode, I think really should we be paying attention to these small nuances? It's not the big things which make a difference. It's the small things doing consistently and collectively makes bigger difference, makes a bigger impact. It doesn't have to be that you need to be dressed up to the T when you show up. It's how you present yourself. There's another episode, another story I would like to share is that I've seen many. There was this one person, I don't want to tell, this is political person. She's been chucked out of the government job she had, or she resigned herself. Something has happened. They had her on the show on different on that night. She was in different channels explaining why she resigned, why what she's going to do. But I can see for myself that she's not trained. I'm not trained either, for anything for that matter. She's not been trained. Today I see her. This was about 3 months ago. I mean, even a year ago. Today I see her. I see a lot more confident the way she projects herself. I was like, God, there should be someone doing this work. That's when I said, oh, I've got to get Zayna. Uh, Ask her what are the things which we can do. How can we prepare? Because there is nothing natural about being on a television, right? Um, Television in itself is more. It's called like we need to project ourselves. So how can we prepare ourselves?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. Let's give our listeners a little more context too. So what we're talking about today applies to you if you might be a well-known person, but that is not it's not needed for us to improve in this area. It
Yeah,
might be
of
that you
course.
make videos. It might be that you do an occasional media appearance. It might be that you appear on podcasts, just like we're doing today. It might be that you speak privately in a boardroom or one-on-one with a prospective collaborator or client.
Yeah.
Um, and self-presentation, yeah, it's made up of, let's give some more tangible examples. It's made up of, how we look is certainly a significant piece of it. And that is our clothing, our grooming, our expressions. It's how we use our bodies, how we project our energy, how we converse. Being a great conversationalist is a life skill that I can't say enough about. It
Yes.
helps you to be a good interviewee, a good interviewer, a good just a person who builds rapport quickly. And
Mm.
so, and the other thing I'll say is, you kind of referenced media training. You mentioned seeing this person on television and she was untrained, and then you saw her later and you maybe felt she had more experience or training. And There are different approaches to media training. It's actually one of my favorite things with which to help people, because I love to bring out, it's more effective and it works the best, your presentation of yourself, when it is authentic, as we're saying, when there is an organic element. And there, you can show up organically and also be strategically minded, or have thought through the scenario to make sure that you mention certain things. You can be organic and still provide sound bites, because we know that those are the short clips that get picked up by media, by social, and all of these things. So I want to put that out there before we go forward, that there's this idea of I'm saying, be yourself. That's the most important thing.
Yes.
In my opinion, you need to be true to yourself. That also can involve choosing which aspect of yourself you highlight in a particular situation. It could mean it's best for you to be very strategic about what you say and don't say, right? So you can be intentional and strategic and authentic and all of these things, because I've encountered a lot of times this question that people have had, well, if I prepare it myself and I train myself, or I get someone to help me, does that mean I'm not being real? Does that mean I'm not being organic?
Yes.
And so both elements can exist together and help you. And that's ideally the approach. And then obviously within that, there are 10 different approaches.
Yeah, that's a very good point you brought up, and people think that am I being manipulative by doing these things, which is not. It's not about that. You need to feel comfortable when you say something about whatever it is. When you are passionate, it does come out really good. At the same time, we need to tone it down a little bit
Well,
about
I
what.
wouldn't, I'll challenge that. Like, I don't tone it down, maybe, but maybe turn it up, right? It depends who you are.
No, it's sometimes what happens with experts is I think you would have come across this, and they want to say everything. They want to help other person to understand what they are trying to say. In that enthusiasm, in that passion, they say too much because the other person,
Oh,
as you
I see.
said,
You're talking about streamlining your message.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
So that's more important. That's where you come in, or media consultants come in, or anyone who
Mhm.
is projecting these PR people. They all come in and say this. If they want more information, they will come to you, or do it in such a way that it's got they
Right.
can
There, yes,
interpret.
there is definitely both a science and an art behind effective communication,
Yes.
and helping your listeners and viewers to focus on the priority points and issues and calls to action. Yeah, there's definitely a lot that one can do to make sure that they have the best chance at the results that they want based on the appearance they're making.
Yes. That's correct me if I'm wrong. Like people always say, you've got only one chance to make that first impression, right? So we, even though we know and understand that, but we don't apply. I don't know. I feel that many don't apply that first impression element to it. Either they become too perfect, or they are nothing on the other end of the spectrum. So how can we balance it? How can we be ourselves and make a great first impression?
Yeah, it's a great question for everyone listening, because the answer will be individual to all of us, but some of the factors that we can think about. Yes, first impressions happen very quickly. Um, there's even so there's person to person, live in person. There's the digital first impression, and I talk a lot personally about digital stage presence, because you know how you come across on any platform can intrigue and motivate people to take the next step, either on their own or to be in touch with you or to follow your recommendations or not. And part of making a great first impression is showing who you are in some capacity or multiple capacities, because you will further magnetize the people who are into your approach and your personality, and you will likely repel other people. And that's actually a good thing if we're talking about, you know, looking for clients and collaborators and opportunities, right? You want to repel some of that because there are things that
Of
you
course.
don't want. There are people who are not a good fit for you, or your approach. And so, yes, certainly take into account that it happens very quickly. There is research to say that within a fraction of a second, people can make, they can throw out some descriptor words about a website they've seen. And that could be your website, your social profile, your LinkedIn, a sales page that you have, right? So not to be, it's actually an exciting thing to have that information. And you want to make sure that the first place people land is something that represents you and your business well. So be happy with it, be comfortable with it, be proud of it, be excited about it, be confident about it. And that being said, you're not always at a 10 out of 10 on those feelings and emotions, right? As entrepreneurs, a lot of us have to put up something, let's say a sales page, that's good enough for now, and then keep improving it based on feedback and having more time to improve it, right? So same
Yeah.
can go for your first impressions. It's nothing to do with appearing to be perfect on any front. It's making sure that, again, it is an accurate representation of you in some way. And it's hard to highlight every facet of your personality in your first impression, or every facet of your business. So what can you were talking about streamlining, what can you choose as the priority messages? So if you have a set of key messages about you and what you do, are those being communicated consciously and subconsciously to people?
Yeah, that's about body language, isn't it? Like 80% of our interactions are non-verbal.
Well, it's not untrue, but there's a widely misquoted statistic out there too that I won't dig into now because I don't have the research beside me, and that feels like not a smart smart thing to dive into. But yeah, body language is a big part of it, but also your facial expressions,
Yeah.
the projection of your energy, and then also not to discount the easier things like our grooming and clothing and makeup and accessories and things like that. Everything that we have that's visual and verbal is telling a story about us. So how are we telling our story, and what is that story? Obviously it's not your full story, right? But it's telling a story. And I've had people debate with me, which I'm always happy to do, that the way we look, for example, doesn't matter, but it's a statement no matter what. And I don't believe that that's more important than anything else. Who we are on the inside is the most important thing. I have seen through helping people, and that's one of my areas of expertise, is the visual branding and visual identity, is that first and foremost, it's for us, right? First and foremost, it's for
Yes.
us to be comfortable, confident, and proud of how we show up in the world. And the other side of the coin is it helps us professionally or romantically, or whatever your goal is, right? Because it also is, again, telling that story and sending a message, or more than one message.
Yeah, that's very interesting the way you put it. So, what are the things which we need to consider? What would be the starting point? Um, if we don't have a Zayna next to us immediately, what would you say? I know you've got a mini course coming soon to explain all of this.
Yeah,
So
I'll give you a general place to start, because for sure there are many, I have many resources, both free and not.
yeah,
But so there's help out there that you can get, and we can direct you there. That's a complimentary place for you to start. However, um, what a good place to start is I call it a mini personal brand 360, but you can really just call it, let's stop and take a look. how are you expressing yourself personally and through your business? How, and what is your business image projecting at this moment? So to be more granular about it, okay, you can look at because we're talking to mostly entrepreneurs in this audience, right? So we can look at whether you have a large company or it's just you and a team of one. You can look at all of your digital assets, your photos, your videos, your websites, your landing sales pages, social profiles, anything you have that's sitting online because it's speaking for you when you're not there, when you're off doing other things. These items are speaking for you. And you can look at them yourself and ask. I have different assessments for this that people can even use on their own, but look at whether you are happy with how they look and what they say. Are they getting you results right now? That's super important. You can like or not like it, but are you getting results? Does it represent who you are in this moment, where your business is at this moment? Is the value of what you do being communicated well, whether it's that you have services or products? And then, there are many, but so those are a couple of things to look at. And in terms of if you speak on video, you don't have to watch all of your footage. People don't seem to like to do that, but you can check to see if you're communicating effectively. Again, if you're confident about what you're doing, if you are happy with it. And it's also very valuable to get people who don't know you at all to take a look, and some people who do know you to take a look. And you can get some verbal feedback that is non-scientific if you don't have a large enough sample size, but if you're not running this as an experiment, some anecdotal evidence and some verbal feedback to give you an indication of where you might want to shift or improve or streamline. And then on the very personal inner side, do you like how are you happy, and does it feel good how you communicate, and do you feel good about when you look in the mirror? There are all these little things because, for example, some people don't feel happy about the way they're expressing themselves with their visual identity. And then that leads to them not wanting to get on camera and do some of the things they could be doing to get new business, right? So that's just one example of how they connect.
Yes, so I get what you're saying, as if we diagnose what is the error, once we understand where we are going wrong, it's always easier to find solutions. But it is hard. It took me a while to watch all my videos, speaking videos. It wasn't easy chore. I completely understand why people don't want to do it. So what is the advantage of that presence which you talk about? What's the main advantage
Yep.
that we
Yeah,
need
great question.
presence?
And I just want to say too that it's when you look at all of your stuff, it's not that you're necessarily going wrong. You just might not be headed in the direction that you prefer, right?
Yeah.
So small adjustments can be very powerful. But everything we're talking about today, it's actually about a couple of things. It's about your freedom of self-expression. It's about your ability to make an impact in the world. And to do those things, you want to have an element of star power and an element and a good degree of leadership presence. And again, that doesn't mean you're famous or well-known or even care about that. But this idea of having star caliber presence is something that can be built, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your, funding is. It's not about that. It's about these areas we're talking about when they are in sync with who you really are. And there's also a match with your desired career trajectory. These are some of the things that help you come across with that very well done personal brand, star power, and leadership presence as well.
Yes, I understand that. So how can we translate that in the first impression?
Well, when people see you for the first time, whether it's in person or in a photo or in a video, or they see something written about you in a bio, certain things should be conveyed, right? And again, it's hard to say how to do it because it's so individual, because we're talking about what is the goal in terms of impact and career, and what's the personality of the person, and what is their internal state, and what do they need, right? So you put all the pieces together, but essentially you want these assets to represent you well.
Okay, so what
If
are
you want
those
to give me a
assets?
hypothetical, I can dig further into it.
Yeah, please. What are those assets which you're mentioning here?
Oh,
What
so I
would
already
be those?
mentioned, so videos, photos,
Mhm.
how you write about yourself, the overall image of you as a person, as well as whatever you have that represents your business, including the way what you offer in terms of your services and products. Like, how are things packaged, right? How are things
Wow.
packaged? How do things look? A very important element that people forget is your brand is about the overall experience you're providing to clients, customers, and the public. Its brand is not about the design of your website or your logos or your, things like that. That's a piece of it. That's a piece of the identity of the business, but it's about the overall. So if someone asks you a question in public and you're on a panel and you answer it a certain way, that becomes part of your approach and your brand, right? Does that make sense? So it's really about
Yes.
everything that you're
But
doing.
I understand where you're coming from. You cannot well, give a tip based on generalized expression, because it's all integrated, isn't it? How you speak, how
Yeah.
you answer questions, how you
I mean, I can't
stand,
say,
and
if we take photos and videos for an example, that's very tangible and that's something that many people have and do. Um, the way you use your body and the way
mm,
you use your voice, even
yeah,
in a static photo, there's an energy and a movement that can be portrayed,
yes,
right? And here's one example. Something that I see a lot is um, entrepreneurs who are very much at the cutting edge of what they do, highly
hmm,
intelligent, highly creative. And when you visit to find more about them, their website or their YouTube or whatever, I'm not getting that feeling before I
mm,
listen to them talk at length sometimes. That's something very common. So people who are very advanced in what they do are not sometimes giving off an updated public image so that we have a quick indication that this person is a leader in what they do and forward thinking.
mm. That's interesting. I get this as well, but totally on a different scale. Because I am a digital marketing person, and also do digital strategy. I get this all the time as well as a marketing professional. I see what you say and what you have as a evidence is not matching, or
Mhm.
sometimes, oh, I've got a PhD. Yeah, no one is going to look at the PhD. How you approach a novice in your expertise, how you answer the question so that it people can understand without jargons and all of that. I come from that aspect. However, when you say the images and the video, your even one liner, the what do you sound bites, you said, like shorter contents make a more impact than the larger 1 hour content. However, what do you think those I know you said it is more, has to be more personalized. You cannot just generalize something. Um, so, what are the key strategies you would use to captivate
Yeah. So if we're
your
talking about,
audience?
yeah, if we're talking about on camera, I just have a couple, I'm looking down because I have a couple of key points right here to pick from because there are many. But um, one thing is to develop your own craft of being a really good interviewer and interviewee, even if you are not the host of a show, even if you are not a super regular media guest, because that skill helps you to turn any can help you to turn any conversation into something quite fruitful, right? Because there's rapport building in there. There's how to have a good conversation by listening well and drawing good information out of the other person to enhance that conversation. So that's one really important thing. Something else is to really lean into whatever is your natural charm. And that's not something everyone feels comfortable doing. And sometimes that comes over time. But for example, if you're a funny person, be funny. If you are, a more reserved person, then be yourself, and there's still for any personality style, there are ways to be a great, charming conversationalist. And it's again about allowing yourself to be free in your communication style and leaning into what's natural for you, because when you lean into what's natural for you, you will make more connections. You will make more connections that are also profitable connections. So those are two things. um Trying different ways, like if you're on camera, trying different things in terms of how you project your energy, how you move your body, how you place the camera, how you get dressed. It's good to have a go-to little system so you can be prepared within a couple of minutes to look good on camera. And that takes some testing. And if you,
Yes.
I know like a lot of people listening to this have scientific minds and maybe a scientific approach to the business. And if you're digital marketers out there, then certainly you understand this testing thing, whether you do ads or you do anything. There's a place to start and a place to get to as you gather data. But you want to test for what looks good, what represents you well, and what feels good to you, meaning what helps you to be at your most comfortable and confident. And when I use the word confident, I don't mean you have to, project this loud outward confidence. It's not about that. It could be quiet confidence. It just depends on your own natural style.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from as well. I don't know. This I think people has to work with you to find out where they can make that small changes.
Actually,
Um,
I mean, obviously I love to work with good people, but I think that even within what we've talked about, there's a place to begin all on your own.
yes,
And again, certainly we have some free like resources to help as well, but even just to, if nothing else, think about, your like, add this to your marketing plan, add this to your sales plan, because that's add this to your communication plan in within your business plan, whatever it is you have, but it touches all of those areas. It is about communication, marketing, sales. It's also very personal, right? So it's also personal development. And it's not um to help yourself get better on camera, maybe you need to buy a few things, or um to help you make the best impressions across all platforms, maybe you need to invest in either some items or a little bit of help or something. But what I want to say is it's absolutely not a luxury. And it doesn't have to mean help from someone like me or me. It could be from anyone, or it could be just investment of time.
yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. I
So
do. You
I'm going to interrupt you for one second. So a framework is what you need. And there are different frameworks to help, but you can take a framework and dig in and begin.
mm, that's right. It could be like we can start with what we know, and
Mhm.
then get get an expert help if we need it at
Yeah,
one
because
point.
sometimes people come to me and their offer is not converting. They have this great offer. Either might be a program, a course, might be a private package of some kind, and there's something that's not converting. And sometimes, and this same goes for people who have come to me saying, I can't seem to get a job, but I have all the qualifications. Sometimes it's a presentation issue, it is an image issue. And then make some adjustments, sometimes significant, sometimes small, and then things start to click together. Because imagine there are people who invest in their team, in their tech, in all of their digital marketing efforts. And then if they are the face of what they offer and they are out there speaking and selling online, and their personal communication is giving off a message that's not in alignment with the offer, you can imagine that not as much gets sold. And
Yeah.
it's tricky because people who are viewing sometimes perceive these things on a conscious level and sometimes non-conscious and sometimes
Yeah.
both, right? So there have been times where the offer is great, the bones of the business are great, the team is doing a good job, but there's something that's not clicking. And sometimes it is a public image development thing or a personal communication thing that can actually be very easily sorted.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for this information. Where can we find you
Yes,
if someone is looking for your expertise?
absolutely. So you can find me at profitinstyle.com. And I'm on Instagram quite a bit at Zayna Rose, ZAYNAROSE. And those are the two best places. But I'll encourage you to. I'm very happy to have a quick conversation to help direct you to the right place. Whether it be an external resource or a free resource that I have that can help you, or if you'd like to talk to me about possibly working together, we can set up a little conversation. But no matter what your question is, I encourage you to message me. So on that website, profitinstyle.com, there's a contact page, there's a contact form. It will do a proper support ticket. I will answer you, either me or one of my team members, but we will help you and give you some direction.
Yeah, thank you very much. So before I let you go, I've got a couple of fun questions.
Yeah, sure.
It's not. What is that you not many people know about you?
Oh
Like
man.
you do something fun for fun, or not many people. Oh, I never thought we do
I
that.
Okay, so like people, some people do know this about me, but I take ballet lessons at the National Ballet School here in Toronto, and I also started taking. I really love dance lessons. I also have taken in the past a little bit and hope to go back to Broadway dance lessons.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
I was
cool.
thinking about it last night actually because I just returned from New York and saw a number of shows, and there's this number that I saw that I really like, and I want my Broadway dance teacher to teach it to me. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I cannot dance for nor can carry a tune, so I don't have
I
this
was
type
trying to
of
figure out if I still know
artistic.
where my tap shoes are. Let's put it that way. I was like, where are my tap shoes?
Uh, and another thing, what if you when you go on vacation, what would be your preference? Are you a city girl, who likes to go on shows and pubs and all of those, or would you rather go to a forest or somewhere
I like,
retreaty?
I'll give you a quick, like in the past couple of years, I've been hiking in British Columbia. I've been, in Manhattan doing very city things. I went all over Scotland last year for a month. Definitely was I was everywhere from Orkney to Jura, which that covers it. Like pretty much.
Yeah.
I think the southeast corner of Scotland is the only part I didn't get into. Um, So I love a beach in Mexico. So, different things.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate
My pleasure.
your your expert insight on all of how we can make a good first impression and also set our personal image in line with that one as well. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon. And now let me finish the show and catch up. Oh, before you go,
Yeah.
you did. This is another thing. I've got a false end to everything. This is another thing. You are coming to Scotland, right?
That's right. I'm coming to Scotland in
Ooh.
July. I'm going to Kenya first, and I'm coming through Scotland on the way back.
Oh, how long are you going to be here?
I have not decided yet. I don't have the Toronto Glasgow flight leg booked yet. So
Ooh.
I have some friends to see and possibly some work to do. So we'll see.
Oh, let's catch up when you're here if everything works out. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you soon. And thanks for your time. Really appreciate that.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
Thank you. Hey, that's all for today's episode of our expert interview show. We hope you enjoyed the insight and strategies shared by Zayna. And don't forget to subscribe, follow, and like, and comment on our episodes to say so we know what you liked and what you didn't like. And please do click that bell button if you're on YouTube, so that you can stay updated on our progress. Because this show is seasonal show. After 11 to 12, 13 episodes, I take a break for a month and then come on for another show. So that's how it works. So we can reach more entrepreneurs just like you. Join our community of like-minded people if you want to. And thanks again for the time, because time is one of the important resources which cannot be taken. But you've tuned in, you watched us up until now, and thank you very much for that time you've spent with us. And also, until our next episode, be happy, because that's in your hand. Be helpful to others. I know everyone help, but when we help someone, we may be, I've heard the stories last few years or so, you may be the only person who's helping that person. So just have that in mind. Just don't think, oh, there's someone else who will help them. Just make a point of that. Bye for now, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.